Good morning, Lenny the Woodworker. Hopefully you're watching these series of videos. We're moving right along and building your own strip canoe. In this video, we got to mount the gunnels, the inner and outer gunnels. I put my deck boards in first. I think it's easier that way. You get a better glue surface by gluing it and pushing it in. Some people mount their gunnels first and then fit it in. I just do it a little bit differently. All right, I showed you in the last video how to make your inner and outer gunnels. The inner has a space there so the water can come out. You should have pre-epoxied the inside of both of them that are going to get sandwiched for any migrating water. How do I mount it? I start in the center of the boat. These are run long. You clamp it. I let them run, hopefully you can see this, under the deck boards. Don't get lazy. Clamp the whole thing all the way up so you get an accurate mark. Remember, your canoe is shaped this way and curls up. You'll never measure that. You want a very accurate mark. So I start in the center, run it under both deck boards, and clamp it all the way up. This way, when it's under the deck board, I can trace it and get my angle and cut it to fit. You want to make sure it fits perfectly with clamps. Clamp the whole thing, make sure it fits perfectly before you start to fasten it, because you're going to fasten it fairly quickly. Once you got it where you want, make a pencil mark. Where are we at? Got a pencil here. This ain't the center, but you make a pencil mark so you know when you start to mount your inner gunnel how it lines up where it's going to be perfectly when you get to the ends. You can mount these with just epoxy and clamps and let it dry. Or you could sandwich these together like this and run screws through everything and plug them. How I do it is I'll epoxy the inner gunnel and I'll screw it from the outside through the canoe before the outer gunnel. So the inner gunnels are going to be, you're not going to have any plugs in them. The reason I do that is the inner gunnel is going to hold the seats, it's going to hold the yoke, it's going to get a lot of strain, so I use the combination of epoxy and screws. When I screw it, these are my high points. Through the boat, I do one on one end and the other through the boat. Those screw heads will get covered when we put the outer gunnel over it. So as I work my way up, I epoxy it, screw it through the boat, and work it all the way up. No need for clamps because you're going to screw it as you go along. Then you mount the outer gunnel. The outer gunnel I did pre-drill and I used plugs. I think it looks good on the outside of the boat. So keep in mind the inner one was screwed through both ends. So when I mount the outer gunnel, I want the screw to go through the outer gunnel, through the boat, and into the inner gunnel in the center. Keep that in mind. So we're going to have screw holes essentially. We mounted the two screws for the inner one. The screw is going to go through for the outer. You want to keep that in mind so you know where the open spots are when we mount the seats later on. Let me do a visual here. So here's our gunnel, epoxied. We got space for inner. The outer gunnel, as you can see, I mount it and I plug them. I think that looks, I like the look of it. If you don't like the look of it, you can just epoxy it and clamp it, and then you don't see any plugs. If you don't mind the plugs on the inside, you don't have to screw through the canoe into it. You could actually just screw it from the outside and plug that also. But on this particular boat, this is how this was done. Once you're mounted, now it's the time to sand everything. Sand your gunnels into your deck board. You'll see there'll be shaping to do here. Sand it all, get it perfect, because the next step is we're going to start finishing it. And what I like to do is every wood surface, the deck boards, the gunnels, under the deck board, every piece of bare wood, I like to coat with epoxy. You might want to put paper, anything here in case there's any drips, because epoxy does get a little runny. And you want to carefully coat everything with epoxy, because we're getting ready for the varnish, mounting the seats, everything. So hopefully I went over everything you need to know about putting your gunnels on, and your boat should be shaping up. I'll give you a little view here. See? Got our gunnels, had to be sanded up to the deck boards. We're going to be shaping in this area and this area, get it all smooth, and then we'll be coating it with epoxy. Listen, thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. I appreciate you subscribing. We're getting to the, near the end of this canoe, and then after this we're going to start some other projects. Keep it going. So please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Listen, if I miss anything, I'm getting a lot of people with questions and stuff. If I miss anything and you're building a boat, please make a comment. I'll get back to you in case I miss something. You have a question, how to do this, that, you don't want to do this, whatever. I will get back to you. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and don't be afraid to ask a question. Thanks for watching.